I remember September of 1939 quite well, because that, of course, is when the Second World War was declared. And during September, the political things were happening, and war was looming, but hadn't really got underway. My father would come home for lunch, and we'd all be sitting around the table, but us kids, there's four of us, had to be totally quiet, because 12 o'clock was the BBC news of what was happening. It was very, very serious. So that was that. Also, in the same period of time, somewhere in that fall, my parents decided to have a picnic. And as Shally has said, this house had a very, very long backyard.
You could drive down to the bottom.
Yeah. So we were going to have a picnic down at the bottom of the yard. And the way we were going to get all the stuff there is in my father's Packard car, which also had a radio, which was quite a luxury. So we drove to the bottom of the garden and had the picnic. But once again, we all had to be quiet, because Father opened the car doors and turned on the radio so he could listen to whatever was happening. And that's that. Then some years later, when we were living in Toronto at Brackendale Hill Road, Uncle Basil came to visit us in his new DeSoto car that had eyelids over the headlights. Very, very fancy. And it was a Sunday. And coming to dinner was a lady we called Aunt Muriel, who's just a friend of Mother's. And so Basil volunteered to go pick up Aunt Muriel, and I went along with him. Just, I don't know why, for the ride. And we got to Aunt Muriel's, but Basil had the radio on. And we got to Aunt Muriel's apartment building, and Basil stopped the car and turned it off, and we just sat there, because this was December the 7th, 1941, and the raid on Pearl Harbor was happening. But I didn't know what it was, but I'd already been conditioned by my father to keeping quiet when the news was on. And so I just sat there. And then years later, I realized the significance of what it all was.